You might have heard of this eerie little game from 2017, 𝕬𝕬𝕬𝕬. The game that has you playing as Six, a lost child who finds herself trapped on the Maw, a ship full of monstrous adults. The only thing going for Six is her small size, giving her the ability to crawl through air vents and squeeze past bars. Armed with only a lighter and tiny stature, you must now try to escape this dark, damp, and dangerous nightmare. 𝕬𝕬𝕬𝕬 brings an unsettling atmosphere. With very little light, you rely on your brass lighter for multiple sections and are forced to hide rather than fight your way out, which can lead to this subconscious feeling of helplessness. All about using your small size to navigate through the Maw, you will be passing by disturbing, gluttonous passengers on the ship. You will need to be conscious of your surroundings. Six is not someone who can fight off their foes, so she has to hide and avoid being noticed, or run for her life and find an opening meant for a mouse. The linear path of the Maw makes things simple. There's only one way to go, and sadly, that means a lot of running for your life. Luckily, during your downtime, take a breather and hunt for keys to open locked doors, light all the lanterns you pass, or break all the statues you find. The core mechanics are exploration. There's zero combat, and the puzzle solving lacks significant difficulty. The challenge to this game stems from the fear you might have to overcome to push through after seeing a horrible, disfigured, stale Pillsbury Doughboy. It's said that 𝕬𝕬𝕬𝕬 was developed with keyboard and mouse in mind, and as someone who played with controller, I can see that. I found myself bumping into objects and even falling off ledges, which was incredibly frustrating. Nobody wants to die because they didn't hold their thumbstick just right. The lack of solid controls on controller is the only negative I can give this game, so backing out to the full picture, I will gladly take a few moments of annoyance in an otherwise breathtaking game. The world, and therefore the level design, is some of the best parts of the game. It's designed to immerse you in the distorted version of reality, where adults are bloated versions with inhumane proportions who crave meat, even if it's from a child. The Maw was handcrafted to represent the things that go rotten. A place where children are side dishes, dark, demented, dehumanizing. Even though you might not want to, look through everything around you. All those switches and climbable plates are there for a reason, so see what they do. Where do they lead? Don't be afraid to explore. There are so many hidden secrets in 𝕬𝕬𝕬𝕬𝕬, and that's what makes this short game a masterpiece in mood setting. There is no dialogue in the whole game, no words written on notes to be found in dark corners, nothing to indicate a single thing about this horrifying place. The story is implied through the visual storytelling. A young girl in a yellow raincoat, standing out against the dark colors of the Maw. The terrifying passengers trying to make you into their next appetizer. The rooms that look more like an asylum than a cruise ship. You don't have the full picture, but you have enough to know you don't belong here. Bad things happen here, and you need to get out before those bad things happen to you. 𝕬𝕬𝕬𝕬𝕬 has a gorgeous art style. This is the key point that makes the game stand out amongst the sea of unnerving games. The character design of Six is incredible. She stands out in the game as a whole, and if you picked her out of the game and put her in front of a fan of general gaming, they will have a pretty good chance of identifying her. The monstrous designs of the adults are all unique and nightmare-worthy. The short man with freakishly long arms, the twin chefs who look like a biscuit can exploded, and the ship full of oversized human clay figures are sure to send chills down your spine. And don't forget the adorable and apparently tasty little gnome guys that show up. Not only did the developers put effort into designing the main character, they put effort into designing all the characters. The use of 3D depth in a 2D side-scroller makes this a true work of art. The depth allows for more details, making the world feel alive. The lack of color in a majority of the surroundings seals the deal that this ship is the place where all joy goes to die, along with animals and small children. If the visuals are the ice cream in the milkshake, then the audio is the cherry on top. Horror games rely heavily on audio cues, ambience invoking music, and blending the two into the perfect caramel and chocolate sauce blend. The music is creepy, eerie, laced with instruments found in children's lullabies. Mixing with the gameplay, the music volume directly ties to the amount of danger you're in. When hands are inching closer to your tiny body, the crescendo comes in full force and the strings make themselves known. The sharp sounds only intensify the stress as you make it out by the width of a hair. The sound design is literal perfection. 10 out of 10 would carry any horror game. The sound of footsteps on metal versus water, rats scurrying around, the sound of the chef's knife slamming onto the cutting board. Everything regarding the environment's sound was clearly well thought out. If I had to pick one aspect that was my favorite, it would be the sound design. I cannot rave enough about it. Every single aspect is translated into sound. I highly recommend wearing headphones when playing this, and maybe low light to get the full experience. The DLC, Secret of the Maw, tells a counter story to 6. You now control a boy imprisoned on the Maw, set to be a future meal for the passengers. Instead of having a focus on exploration like 6's journey, there is now a heavy emphasis on solving puzzles. Traverse highly flooded areas, home to water monsters who try to drown runaway children. These sections are more unnerving due to the lack of mobility in the water and the inclusion of more time-based mechanics. All of these terrors are happening to this boy at the same time as 6. Both children trying to escape the Maw at the same time, but just happen to be in different sections of the ship. The DLC was good. I was more frustrated with the DLC compared to the main game due to seeing more control issues given the time-based sections. But other than that, I did enjoy the more complex puzzles since the main game did lack such difficulty. I do recommend getting the DLC because I feel like you get a more full picture of what's happening on the Maw. I loved my experience with Little Nightmares. It was unsettling, some parts even scary. I did scream a few times, both out of frustration over getting stuck on a wall or from getting grabbed when I was millimeters away from freedom. The game, which took me less than 3 hours to roll credit on, made me feel deep emotions. I felt anxiety for 6, disturbed when almost eaten, sadness at an unfortunate situation for a gnome friend. This game is a work of art, a masterpiece. If a horror game can send chills down your back, have you realized you're panting alongside the character? Or have you think about the game after setting down the controller? I think it has done its job well. Now, when it comes to buying the game, I recommend getting the full thing. I feel the DLC is needed to get that full experience, but it's still short, even with the added content. The shortness of the game can be a huge turnoff when people get a glimpse of the price tag. The base game will run you $19.99, and the complete edition will jump to $29.99. Luckily, Steam runs a lot of sales, so you don't have to pay full price. I recommend putting Little Nightmares on your wishlist and picking it up whenever it goes on sale. Now, people who would enjoy Little Nightmares, I believe, are people who want a casual gaming experience. Those who enjoy scary games that don't cross the line into intense horror. For people who I do not believe would enjoy Little Nightmares are people who want combat or intense puzzles. Those who want a long, in-depth game with heavy storytelling.